Getting to know Gurds was a really delightful surprise. An incredibly intuitive soul who's able to trust the unique messages that come through, even if they don't initially make sense, which I think is really one of her gifts in the way that like you get to experience what comes through Gurds, because in some way it'll make sense to you even though it didn't necessarily make sense. So I think that really admire the amount of trust that Gurds has in her gifts and the work that she does in being able to share the intuitive insights that come through. One of the things that I really appreciated was the symbols and the elements that you passed on to me, that Gurds passed on to me, were symbols and elements that would only make sense to me. And even at the time, I wasn't quite sure what they meant, but there was a resonance there that I started working with and bringing them into my daily practice and looking for more evidence of what the wisdom was that wanted to guide, that wanted to come through for me and guide me in that moment. And so I will say it's interesting because I was getting information for the tools that were going to support me over this next chapter and phase that I was entering, where I didn't even know that that's what I needed yet. And yet I was being guided to tune into some of these tools and some of these symbols and the resources and the energies that Gurds was offering me as a roadmap to use, or as little guideposts on the roadmap to what I was going to be going through and working through over the next few months. And what do I love about Gurds' personality? I think you make things that could feel challenging, that are challenging. You don't take away any seriousness of whatever challenges we're all facing, but I do think that you bring like a little bit of lightheartedness to the situation. You bring love, you bring curiosity, you bring compassion, and you bring joy to the space to use as a navigation tool. And I think that this joy really comes from like a very rooted, like joy. Like it's very light, but at the same time, it's the type of joy that like our ancestors want for us, like your grandmother. So it's almost this childlike joy that's coming from the elders, the way grandmas give their babies, you know, the grandkids candy and the mother wouldn't, right? Like the way that grandmothers just want us to be really happy and embody that joy and give us all the treats and the goodies, but also are there to help us. And so I just feel like you bring a very grounded and loving type of joy and curiosity, which I think is actually the greatest thing, is a level of curiosity for seeing outside of the box and for trusting ourselves and using that to help navigate our way through, because there's so many unknowns that we all have questions around. And I think that you really bring a beautiful way of getting curious for what somebody's next steps are.